Hello, my friends. Welcome to The Movement with Dan Unitas. Today, I wanted to talk on the topic of, this is a part of a series I want to have ongoing, this is going to be How to Take Care of a Woman Properly, Part 2. And the thing I want to talk about today is the notion that I talk about this on all the time. I think men and women need to live in harmony with one another, and men and women need to embrace their genders and understand that men and women are very different animals, and embracing that and being understanding that and try and seeking to understand each other and seeking to love each other to the best, to the fullest, and to the best of our abilities. I think that's a big part about being in a healthy marriage, is understanding like your limitations, but also understanding your partner, and how your partner is inherently different from you based on them being, in my case, my partner's a woman. So for me, I wanted to talk on something. So the at certain points, I believe that women can be extraordinarily hardworking. I think that women can be push themselves to the point of exhaustion, and where they feel like I think sometimes women have a hard time saying no, and they just have this kind of caring or nurturing instinct, or this notion to take care of everybody, and to at the expense of ultimately becoming exhausted and feeling like they've got so many plates spinning that they just can't do it anymore, and things start starting to collapse, and they have a very large emotional reaction. And so in those moments, I think that that's extremely, even before you get to that point, certainly as a man, as a partner to a woman, you need to be on the know you'll be watching out for that. I think that is, we can't necessarily paint with a massively broad brush and say that all women do this or all men do this. But I do think, in the last decade, it's been, a lot of things have been considered not politically correct, or, we're not supposed to talk about women or men in this certain way or this certain way. And I think it's all bunk. I think at the end of the day, when men and women are different on the whole, and it's important to talk and to make generalizations or typifications about men and women, so that we can get in the majority of us can kind of understand what it is. So that's what this channel is about in large part. So, when I'm talking about women having these emotional moments where they're working themselves so hard that they work themselves to the point of exhaustion, I'm saying, I think that men need to step up, and men need to, a big part of our relationship is, equal respect and equal contributions. And I think that, for instance, like my wife, my wife cooks the meals for the family, for the most part, and then so I'll wash all of the dishes. I'll take care of the dishwasher, loading it and unloading it, and that's we have a bigger family, so washing the dishes, taking out all the trash and this type of stuff, it ends up being a decent amount of work. But the idea is that men and women should be contributing equally. So it's important for men to know that women can kind of get into this state and kind of break down eventually. So the more that you can contribute, the better it's going to be, so that you can kind of load balance the workload, or whatever, stupid term. Anyways, but if you do find yourself, my point there being, you want to avoid getting to this breakdown moment by contributing and making sure your wife is doing okay. Now, if you do get to the point where she's at this breakdown moment where she's just worked herself into exhaustion, I think when I was a much younger man, when getting this kind of I think when you're younger, I think this happens to a lot of guys. When a woman is expressing emotions, you might not understand what is expected of you. You don't know how to address the problem. You don't have the proper tools. Well, what do men do when they don't have the proper tools for something? It's just like if you're working on a car, and then something's busted, and you go look under the hood to try to fix it, and you don't know what's wrong. You don't know what's wrong. You don't know how to diagnose it. You don't have the tools for it, and you're screwed. Well, you get angry, you get frustrated. A lot of times men will substitute anger in for, because they don't have an emotional tool to kind of know what's expected and know how to fix what they're looking at. So sometimes when a woman is get to the point of exhaustion, the man can get frustrated and start arguing with her and say, well, why the hell did you work yourself to death? This is on you. This is your fault. This is your problem, and I'll be damned if I'm gonna be responsible for figuring it out. And that is, of course, if any women are listening out there, that's of course not what a woman, not what a woman wants at all. For me, in my experience, what I've kind of, I feel that I've, successfully finally arrived at, is that when a woman is like that, sometimes women, they just need a good cry. Sometimes women just need a good cry. And what they want, they don't want the man to be telling them what to do. They don't want the man to be solving their problems. They're overcome with emotion, and you can kind of see it. They just kind of, you can kind of see that they're, in their movements, their behavior, their attitude, they become something kind of, they're not bright, they're not bubbly, and they're not connected, they're not joking, they're not having fun, they're not interested in intimacy, they're not being affectionate, they're just kind of shut down, and they look depressed. They visibly look different. And so it's important to pick up on that and, really be proactive about trying to dive into something and say, honey, you don't, I'm worried about you. Are you doing okay? You don't want to tell them they look terrible. Obviously they'd be, add insult to injury, but honey, how are you doing? Let's talk about it. And so, ultimately, if the woman starts getting to the point where she's tearing up and she starts to cry, it's actually not a bad thing. Of course, it means that she's gotten to the point where she's overwhelmed. But, sometimes women just need to cry it out and get the emotion they're feeling just very low. And a lot of times what women will express in those moments, you want to encourage the woman to open up and express herself. And so, a lot of times what a woman will express in those moments is, I feel like I am pushed to the max. I feel that so much is expected of me. I feel I've got to pick up all the slack. I'm driving this person to this soccer practice. I'm driving this person to, their after school thing. I'm driving this person, to this, and I'm cooking the meals. I'm working, and I got to get up early because this person has orchestra. It's like all of these different things. So women, it's in my experience, it's very common for women to feel this compulsion, this nurturing compulsion to pick up any slack that's around them. And ultimately, in my opinion, I feel I was a single dad for a while. I'm very proud of that time in my life. Actually, I ran my own house, and I did all of the laundry, and I cooked all of the meals. It wasn't gourmet cooking, but hey, but I did, I took care of my house. I cooked, I cleaned, and I took my kids everywhere. And for me, as a single dad, I was really proud of that time in my life. But I do find that I don't think that men are as apt to be jumping on like more domestic stuff, like and just feeling not necessarily that they're incapable or that they won't do it, but feeling this just having this internalized drive to do it that never turns off. They always say like a woman's work is never done, and women are moms are constantly working, and I think as a men we need to not be competing with women to try to we need to be supportive of each other. But I think it's important to realize that we are different, and a lot of people maybe that are more progressive want to pretend that a lot of people that are maybe more progressive want to say, okay, well, we can't just give men a pass because they want to be lazy or something like that. People are welcome to believe what they want to believe and apply different models. For me, I'm not gonna, I am comfortable operating under the mindset that men and women are very different, and we have different motivations and different things that drive us. I think that we should have a healthy respect and understanding between us, and that's where I'll leave it on that one. But when a woman is kind of reaching this point where she feels like, she's welling up and as the tears are flowing, and she just feels like the weight of the world is on her shoulders. I think what a woman really needs in that moment is for the man to lay next to her, hold her in his arms and tell her everything's going to be okay, and tell her that she's doing a great job, and give her love and support and encouragement, and treat her with kindness, and give her the space to say, hey, it's okay that you're having this, just don't say anything. Just hold her, kiss her on the head, squeeze her, and just help her get through that moment. It's another thing too, as I would say, don't try to talk or necessarily accelerate the process. What I've found in life is that, when men are insecure, they seek external validation, and so they always need things to be okay. So if the woman in the relationship is upset, the man needs to jump all over it and try to fix things quickly because they're insecure about themselves, insecure about their status in the relationship. So men really need to put in the work themselves to be secure in themselves, have self-worth, have self-respect. And once you are accepting of yourself and you know your worth and you know your inherent value and you're confident, then you can support other people properly. And that's what this video is about. It's about, how to take care of a woman properly. So when a woman's going through kind of a traumatic situation and she's kind of just feeling like the walls are closing in and she's being pushed to the max, she's upset, she's frustrated. And a lot of times the book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus, it kind of details out that sometimes women can exaggerate things. Because I think what it is, for me, my explanation of that is that I think women are feeling the emotion of like, I am feeling like upset, and so they might say, I'm always have to do this, or this is always on me, or I feel like this is always on me. And the worst thing that a guy can do is interrupt her and say, well, actually that's not the case, because I took the garbage out last week, and I cooked the meal. It's just like, you're not I think a lot of times people miss the point, and the point is, in these situations, women are not looking to. It's not a logical debate about something. It's literally what's happening is the woman is upset. We need to value and love and respect the women in our lives if we want to maintain healthy relationships with them. And it's important to understand that she's upset, and you need to allow people to have their feelings, and you need to respect that and let the feeling run its course. And typically, what I've found, I've been very surprised, if you can kind of hang in the pocket and allow the woman that time. Realistically, on like a clock, it might take 20 minutes, might take the better part of an hour. But after the woman has been, the motion hits like a wave, and then once the wave kind of starts to subside and move on, the woman, all of a sudden, her head clears and she says, I had this happen with the other day. My wife said, thank you. And then now all of a sudden she's all good. And it's so bizarre, because I think men don't necessarily experience life in that same way, or if we do, it's not as stark. I think men feel like, well, if I'm feeling upset about something, I'm going to continue to feel upset about something. An hour is not going to make a lick of difference. So if something happened and I'm upset, an hour later, if I'm hunky-dory, that's odd. I don't think men really think like that in the same way. But I've seen this. I've seen this in my children. I've seen this in my wife, and in past experiences. It's like women are get these waves of emotion, and then they need to experience the frustration, or they need to have this freak out moment. They need to feel the emotion has to run its course through the body. And as men, the thing that you just got to do is just be, some people will say it's kind of like, being a woman's rock, where the waves are crashing upon the rock, or the storm crashes on the rock, and then ultimately the storm goes by and the rock is still there, and you're with, you're maintaining frame, or however you want to, phrase it. But I really do think that there's something to that. And so I think we can wrap up on this video. I think, again, this is I want this to be part of a series. So this has been How to Take Care of a Woman Properly, Part 2. I think as a society, we need to have a lot of these conversations. We need to, in my opinion, we need to embrace our genders rather than trying to tear down genders all the time. We need to talk about how men and women are different, and have those talks be productive and constructive, and help service us in our having healthy and long-lasting marriages. Because at the end of the day, a lot of people will look at the old couple that's in their 80s or 90s that are still holding hands, or they're dancing at a wedding. And particularly with women will notice that stuff all the time. A woman will look at that, wow, look at them, they've been in love, something inherently very romantic. And I think it really speaks to women. And they say, wow, look at those people out there, they've been married for 60 years, and it's just mind-boggling. And they inherently express that they want that, but then there's so much in our society that's set up to not allow us to kind of have that. I talk about this all the time. Anything in life takes know-how. Anything in life takes curriculum. I was just thinking about, okay, if I redo my patio, how am I going to redo my patio? Well, I have to look up stuff on YouTube. I'll have to look up how to get rid of concrete, smash it up. I have to look up how to lay bricks down, to make a new patio. But with love, we just inherently think, oh well, I know love. Love is intuitive. You're born knowing how to love, and that it's just so painfully dumb. Being in a successful and a loving relationship takes experience, it takes wisdom, and it takes a lot of know-how. And so for me, I'm a big advocate for having these conversations to give people the tools that they need in order to have a successful relationship. So anyways, that's my piece. I hope you enjoyed this video. I really enjoyed talking with you today. And please consider liking and subscribing, and I'll talk to you soon. See you in the next one.